Welcome back to Fantasy Central. This is your host, Zach, and of course, I'm here with the one, the only, the fantasy guru himself, Hefe.
What's going on, fantasy footballers? How are we doing today?
I hope they're doing all right. Today, we're going to talk about Week 13 fantasy football, the final regular season week for the vast majority of you out there, and everybody is fighting for that coveted playoff spot. So stick with us today. Hefe is going to give you a rundown on who you need to pick up off the wire, who you need to have balling out on your roster this upcoming week, and who you absolutely need to avoid playing. As always, hop on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, you'll have a shot at a free NFL jersey from the NFL shop, player of your choice, bought and paid for by us. A free jersey for only 10 seconds every time. You can't beat it. So, with that said, let's do the damn thing. You ready, Hefe?
Yep, let's get her done.
All right, week 13, waiver wire, probably the most important wire of the season. So, let's start with the running backs. Who are you going to be targeting this week?
So, like you said, it's possibly the most important waiver wire of the year, and it's probably the one with the least amount of action. Really, not a whole lot going on. But the first one's going to be, you're going to have to monitor Josh Jacobs' situation going into this weekend. He's dealing with a sprained ankle, and he may play, he may not. He's a tough guy, so he may want to go. But either way, Devontae Booker has gotten some work for the Raiders over the last couple weeks. Even if Josh Jacobs is able to go in this next game, then I would still expect Devontae Booker to get a decent amount of work in this game. And obviously, without Josh Jacobs there, he should have a pretty big day. They're playing the Jets. So if he's there in your league, go ahead and grab him. I also I didn't really know which Atlanta running back to pick here. So I have Brian Hill and Ito Smith. And it's a game flow kind of thing. Todd Gurley looks like he's probably going to miss another game. And if they're going to run the ball more, I like Brian Hill, but I expect them to be down in this next game against the Saints. I think they'll use Ito Smith more. He's more the catching down back, the third down back, change of pace kind of guy. So I like Ito Smith more than I like Brian Hill for this upcoming week. But Brian Hill, if you're unable to get Ito Smith, not a bad option. And then the only other person I have on the waiver, I don't have any receivers here. The receivers pretty straightforward this week. But Trey Burton is going to be my only other waiver option here. Somebody that has been getting a pretty decent amount of touchdowns for the Colts ever since he got off the IR. It hasn't been every week, but it's been most weeks. And this past week, I believe he had 6 targets. So it was a decent game for him overall. He obviously had a touchdown. Somebody that if you really need a tight end this week, then I like him as an option.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on all of those. Anybody who's playing the Jets is definitely going to put up some numbers. So Devontae Booker is a good pickup there if Jacobs is not ready to go. I like your Brian Hill, Ito Smith kind of deal there. You're probably right. They will probably be down against New Orleans. So Ito Smith may be the featured back there. And Trey Burton, he's been balling out all season. I ended up having him for a little bit of stretch throughout the season, and he produced. So he's came out. He's looking like the number one tight end for the Colts, and this Colts offense is getting better. I know last week was a little bit of a slip up, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I like Trey Burton there too. So let's move on to starters, people you have to start this week due to matchups. All right, so let's move on to starters, people you absolutely have to start this week. Let's start with the running backs. Who you got?
So I already talked about Devontae Booker and really either of the Raiders running backs, possibly both. If Josh Jacobs is playing, then I would go ahead and play Josh Jacobs still. But if not, Devontae Booker, whoever is playing there, I like him. And then I want to move on to David Montgomery. Came back and looked good. Put up decent amount of fantasy points. I believe it was just under 28 fantasy points for his fantasy owners, and they're playing the Lions, and they're the last ranked team in the league, giving up the most points to running backs. So I like him as a play this week, even though that Bears offense is trash. Him and Allen Robinson generally, are going to get their touches, going to get their points. Also, I want to put Wayne Gallman on here, somebody we've mentioned before. but people might be in the air about. But I think, obviously with Daniel Jones out, they should lean on him more. They're probably going to get down in this game, you would expect, so he could have some more passing work coming out of the backfield. I think he should have a pretty big game here, a nice little 20-point game. And last one here is going to be Zeke. Most of the time when I've said to keep Zeke out of the lineup, people probably don't listen to me anyways, right? He's Ezekiel Elliott. You're probably playing him. But I said I'd let you know when it's safe to go ahead and put him back in the lineup full time. And I think that now is it. The offense looked better. They're going against the Ravens, which could be a problem. So I almost didn't want to put him here. But I think either way, he should get his touches, obviously, should lead to some decent production for Zeke.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like the David Montgomery start there. I picked him up last week, put him in, balled out, like you said. He had almost 28 points. Wayne Gallman, same thing. I have him on one of my rosters. I had him sitting on the bench because I have Aaron Jones and Chris Carson playing. But he's been producing throughout the course of the season as well. So I like both of those. Zeke can always put up the numbers. I think he'll do the same, and same thing with Josh Jacobs there too. So let's move on to wide receivers. Who do you have to start at the receiver position this week?
So I want to start with one of the hometown guys. I'm going with MPJ, Michael Pittman Jr., going against the Texans. Now, the Colts might get up in this game and run the ball, but the way the offense has worked over the last 5 or 6 weeks, they don't – this isn't the same run-heavy offense it was last season. And that's been pretty apparent over the last couple of weeks. So I like Michael Pittman here going against a weak Texans defense. Jamison Crowder should have a big bounce back game here. Again, probably going to be down in this game against the Raiders, and it's not the best secondary there in Las Vegas. So I like Jamison Crowder here, possibly Brashard Perriman too. But for all intents and purposes, I like Jamison Crowder. I also like Jerry Jeudy going against the Chiefs, another matchup here where they're going to be down. We expect them to for sure be down in this game, but they're getting the quarterbacks back in Denver. So that'll be a good thing. You expect Jerry Jeudy to get like 15 targets in this game, probably catch like 6 balls. So go ahead and start him. And then my last one here is going to be Jarvis Landry. And for obvious reason, he takes over as the number 1 receiver with Odell Beckham Jr. sitting out. And he did really well this past week, and I would expect Baker to keep going to that safety blanket. He catches a lot of passes that come his way. He's just always been a guy that has sticky hands, so if he's getting 10, 12, 14 targets a game, you can expect him to get anywhere, between 6 and 10 catches a game. So somebody that you're probably starting this week and every week in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely with Landry, I'm with you there. I have him on one of my rosters. I'm almost playing him every week. He hasn't produced up until this last week, so I'm hopeful that will continue to happen. And Michael Pittman Jr., I am waiting for him to have a massive breakout game like we know he is capable of doing. It will happen. This may be the week. So I agree with you there. And Jerry Jeudy, those quarterbacks are coming back. They're all going to be pass happy no matter which one's going to be in. They're going to be chucking the ball up, ready to go. So I agree. Broncos will be down in this game. They got to try to get points. Jerry Jeudy, at least a good flex spot there. All right, let's move on to sitters, people you have to absolutely avoid playing because they're not going to do a damn thing for you this week. We'll start with the running backs. Go.
So the first one's going to be tough because he's been a fantasy darling this year, but it's going to be Antonio Gibson. They're playing the Steelers. The offense just doesn't – it's just not the best offense, right? We here on this podcast, we like Alex Smith, we like Ron Rivera, we like all that stuff, but the offense there is just not good, right? They have a couple stars, and that's why it's hard to put Antonio Gibson here, especially after what he just did to the Cowboys. But I don't think that offense is going to be able to move the ball much. So sit Antonio Gibson and also Kenyon Drake, somebody that's just been outrageously disappointing to fantasy owners this year. They're playing the Rams. It's not a good outlook. They're probably going to be down and not running the ball anyways. And then you're going to see Chase Edmonds as the passing down back, and they generally pass more anyways there in Arizona. So Kenyon Drake, go ahead and sit him this week.
Agree with you. I have not been high on Kenyon Drake at all. I had him not even on my radar during the draft because I knew he wasn't going to be able to produce like everybody thought he was going to be. He was going, what, a first rounder at the beginning of the year, something like that?
Sure was.
Yeah, something crazy. So I have Chase Edmonds on my squad. Obviously, he can come in or out depending on the matchups and who you got on your team, but I prefer Chase Edmonds over Kenyon Drake, especially in a PPR league. So I definitely agree with you there. Gibson, you're right about that offense. It's not good. So that's all I got to say there. Move on to wide receivers. Who you avoiding playing this week?
This is another one where people are going to call me crazy, but Jalen Ramsey's been putting the clamps on people this year, and DeAndre Hopkins is going to be another victim.
What?
Yep.
You think so?
I know, man, dude. I mean, and DeAndre Hopkins has looked like the best receiver in the league at times, and so it's hard to put him here, but they have familiarity with each other, and Jalen's playing better than he ever has in the past. So I think the offense there, and if the offense in Arizona hadn't been so shaky over the last 3 weeks, I'd be more confident in the fact that DeAndre is going to do DeAndre kind of things. But it hasn't looked good. Kyler hasn't looked very good. So I'd rather stay away from D Hop this week. And then another big guy that I really, really like, but you're probably going to be staying away from is Kenny Galladay. So it's a tough matchup here. Not really ideal situation going against the Bears. So unfortunately, Kenny Galladay is going to be the other wide receiver sitting.
Yeah. So let's go back to DeAndre Hopkins. I actually have both of these guys on two different teams. My two rosters. DeAndre Hopkins. You're probably right about Jalen Ramsey. I think D-Hop has struggled the last couple of weeks, maybe had like 10, 12 points here and there. So with Jalen Ramsey on him, it's going to be very tough to sit him out. But with the matchup, it is definitely something to consider there. Kenny Galladay, I don't even know what to say, man. Like, I had such high hopes for this man this year, and he is capable of producing, but he has been injured all season long, hasn't done a damn thing for me. Pretty much a wasted draft pick. So for all you other people out there who have Kenny Galladay, Jeff's probably right here. Probably need to sit him in favor of somebody else because he still may be lingering due to his injuries too. So, all right, you got anybody else you want to throw out here, Jeffy?
Nope, that's the list for this week.
All right. Well, Hefe's Week 13 power rankings are already out on our Facebook and Twitter pages at Horsemen Sports. Let us know what you think about your favorite team's rankings in the comments section. And again, help us reach 1,000 YouTube subscribers, and you'll have a shot at winning a free, authentic NFL jersey from the NFL shop on us. Hefe, you got any parting words you want to throw out here?
No, not really. Just it's big week in fantasy. If you're right on the hinges like I am in one of my league, good luck. Hope you make it in, and let's go get this money.
Well, that's all we have for you guys today. We'll be back on Thursday with Brad for our Week 13 picks and preview show. We'll see you then, and thanks for listening.